second event for the VFS Stratford Chapter Fall Webinar Series. Tonight, Audrey Brady, Sikorsky Vice President, Commercial Systems and Services, will be sharing her personal stepping stones along the flight path of her career. And I will be your moderator tonight, Alex Mark. I am the Stratford Chapter President. We will be running these events throughout the fall in place of our traditional dinner talks, so hope you can all make it. We have two more of these events. Next month, October 21st, will be Andy Bernhard, Director of Aircraft Design at Sikorsky. And just a note, tonight we have already asked people to provide questions in advance, so we will not be taking questions during the session. But if there's any issues you're having technically, or if there's anything that comes up that's critical, please feel free to reach me on the webinar chat message, Alex Mark. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions or help you out during the recording. This event is recorded, so just be aware of that. If you are looking to review this or watch it again at your leisure, it should be available sometime, I'm going to say next week, but a little pressure on our team here on the VFS webinar site. All of our webinars will be recorded and posted there as well, so if you missed last month, you can find it there. And again, feel free to contact me, Alex Mark, if you are looking to find the location of that website. Tonight, we have the honor to be sponsored by Dassault Systems. Tonight, we have John Dixon with us. He's the client executive for aerospace and defense. And John, we can't thank you enough for supporting our local chapter, and we'll give you the floor.
Thanks, Alex. And Dassault Systems is excited to continue our sponsorship of Vertical Flight Society. We've been doing this for over a year now and look forward to doing it going forward in the future and seeing all of you guys in person again once we can get back together. I'll be brief because I know everybody is excited to hear Audrey's presentation and doesn't really want to listen to mine, but I'll just point out that on your invite, on the flyer, there's a banner for the Dassault Systems 3D Experience Virtual Journey. That banner is actually a link, and if you click that, it takes us to our virtual forum, where next week on Wednesday, September 23rd, we're going to be having a series of presentations available on modeling and simulation, as well as additive manufacturing. So anybody that has any interest in those, I encourage you to click that link, register for the event, and take advantage of the content that'll be available there. And I think with that, I'll let us get to the main event and pass it over to Audrey.
Thank you, John. I'm going to take it for 1 second to introduce Audrey Brady. She is Sikorsky's Vice President, Commercial Systems and Services. So I'm not going to be doing too much of an intro here because you're going to want to hear it from her probably rather than myself. But I will say Audrey holds a Bachelor's of Science in Mathematics and Mechanical Engineering from Connecticut's Trinity College. She has a Master's of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Stanford and a Master's of Business Administration from Carnegie Mellon University. In her current role, Audrey provides overall strategic leadership for all aspects of Sikorsky's global commercial market, which includes the S-76 and S-92, including the entire life cycle in market assessment, product development, engineering design, sales and marketing, manufacturing and delivery, aftermarket services, and customer relationships. I myself was actually lucky enough to have the opportunity of having Audrey as my director on the S-92 program when I worked it, which currently has been about half my career on that program. Under her leadership, we tackled a number of difficult engineering challenges. We always kept a close eye on safety, and that really drew the S-92 to become the trusted industry favorite platform. The S-92 now has flown for over 1.6 million flight hours, and I personally can say with her leadership, it was that which positioned the platform for its current success. One of my favorite facts, just throwing this out there real quick, is the fact that she earned her private pilot's license, which she received in February of 2017. So with that, Audrey, I'll hand it over to you, and thank you again for participating and presenting tonight.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction, Alex. And obviously fond memories when you were on the program. I do want to take the time before we get started to thank you, Alex and Dina, for the invitation for Vertical Flight Society, and for you, John. Thank you for just all for sponsoring these events. I think that they're really very, very important. And my message tonight is really going to take us through that and why these events are so important. So thank you for sponsoring this. So before I get started, interesting topic tonight, comfortable for me to talk about myself for an hour, but the question came up of, how did you get to where you are? What do you do? And, why did you want to become an engineer? And how old were you when you decided that you wanted to be an engineer? So like a good engineer, I took some time to do some research in order for me to be able to answer that question. So I certainly took the time and dug in and really wanted to make this a fun presentation, but it's kind of this is my life story. The classic Olin Mills picture, people remember what Olin Mills was. I'm sure my family would be very pleased that I'm sharing this picture with you, but it's important to me because I wanted to start at the beginning. And that's me down there on the bottom right. I'm the youngest of 4 children. The next oldest to me is my brother, who's 8 years older than I am. And then my 2 sisters are 10 and 13 years older than I am. So I'll be able to share with you some of the influences that they had on me and how it shaped my career. My mother and father, my father, delivered milk and ice cream for Miller Foods before about the age of me in that picture there. He started his own vending machine company, Advanced Vending, that my brother runs today. And my mom, she was an Avon salesperson. And the fond memories that I have, I wanted to really dig deep. When my dad started his vending machine company, it was really important, a very a family effort. And again, being, very, very young, wanted to be able to lend some support. So one of the stories that I have to share with you tonight is that the drivers needed to load their trucks every night, and they needed to count how many cans of soda that they had to load on their truck. And of course, they're in cases of soda, but they needed to know individually how many cans that they had. So I created a cheat sheet. I actually called it a cheat sheet on top of this this display that I created on the back of a cardboard box that told them, okay, if you have 1 case, you have 24 cans of soda. If you have 2 cases, you have 48 cans of soda, 372, and so on. So at a very young age, I very much was drawn to math. And I believe I actually stopped by the shop just a couple years ago, and I think it's still hanging on the warehouse cage there. So you can tell how many years old that is. And supporting my mother in her career, one of my fondest memories is doing her invoices. So doing the difference between the collections and the disbursements. And the funnest part was doing the math to see how much money we actually got to keep out of what we actually sold. So I did that for her, and it was really fun. And then, to also, shape the earliest memories of being drawn to math. My sisters, being 10 and 13 years older than me, when I was in preschool, which happened to be at the high school that they were attending, every chance that they had, study halls and lunch, they would come and play with me, and so would their friends. And so I got a lot of attention at that age, you know, between 3 and 4, and I was able to do long division before going into kindergarten because of all of that extra effort given to me by my sisters. So those are 3 memories that, you know, very, very fond memories that I had at that age. So math being one of my strengths, understanding that I needed to focus more on my spelling because that was a weakness for me. So of course, back then we didn't have spell check. We didn't have Siri to ask how to spell something. So I invented a machine that was called Spell a Word Machine that actually did have that same capability, where those buttons on the front, they were actually cranks. And I would say the word. Of course, you see my sister in the background. She's actually writing on note cards when I say the word. She is looking them up in the dictionary, or, you know, spelling the word. You put the word through the machine, you do the cranks, and out comes the spelling of the word. Now, again, I think that Siri is much easier, but again, the idea was I needed some help, and famously, necessity is the mother of invention. So I created myself a machine to help me overcome, you know, one of my weakest subjects, which my mother was very, very good at spelling, so it was much to her disappointment. But we actually had to look up the words in the dictionary back then. So again, I'm dating myself, but I wanted to give you a window of my strengths and how I overcame some of my weaknesses. Okay, so the left-hand picture, and some of you in the audience might be able to see our neighbor's car and determine, you know, my age. But that's me on the go-kart. And I remember at the youngest age, loved to spend time with my brother, was by his side all of the time. Again, he was 8 years older. So, you know, being, you know, 6, 7, he was, you know, 14, 15, very much into, again, I'll be dating myself, but erector sets. We built that go-kart. We made it work. I worked on his Jeep with him. He was building for when he turned 16. And I always found myself wanting to know how things worked, was very much involved in the process and trying to problem solve. So at a very young age, still, you know, very inquisitive about mechanical things. Now, I still didn't know I wanted to be an engineer at this point, so I'm not going to give this away. I don't think I even knew what an engineer was, and you know, this is going to weave into my story. But on the right-hand side, and I'm going to have to now explain what that is for some of the audience who, you know, obviously doesn't know what a cassette tape is, but that would be a boombox and how we used to play music back when I was younger. So what you see there is my 8th grade science project, which was an invention, because my cassette player would often eat my cassette tapes. So if people remember, you actually have to either put your finger in there, rewind it, or a pencil to rewind the tape back into the cassette casing in order to be able to play your music. So what I did was invented a contraption made out of an old flashlight and a motor and an old cassette player I took apart and put one of those plastic nubbies on it at the top, so that all you had to do was turn the flashlight on, it engaged the motor, and it rewound the tape back up. And obviously this was critical, because at the time, listening to, you know, the Journey Frontiers tape that I created from recording my vinyl was one of the favorite things that I like to do. So again, necessity being the mother of invention, but that was my 8th grade project. So again, finding a solution to a problem that I had with my cassette. So at this point, again, not having any idea what I wanted to be when I grew up, but someone who really inspired me going into college was my physics teacher in high school, Miss Dubay. And I remember just absolutely loving that class, loving going to the class. And she was very encouraging of my thirst for knowledge and science. And our family didn't really have very much experience in searching for colleges or anything like that. So I was very lucky to go to Trinity College in Hartford, which was about 18 miles from where I grew up in Farmington, Connecticut. And there I was able to go in as a math and physics major. And I took every opportunity to network with professors and go to SWE events and really take the time to learn all that I could while I was there. I also played softball, which was also a fond memory. But I want to point out that it was at one of those events that Dr. Algren, who was actually running the engineering department, as the dean of the engineering department, asked me, what about physics did I really like? And I described, really the physical things about physics. And he actually suggested that I take Mechanics 101. And from then on, I absolutely was hooked. And I started to understand at that point engineering, mechanical engineering, and getting more involved on the engineering side. So that answers the question about when I knew that I wanted to become an engineer. And then while I was at Trinity, had the great opportunity to work with Dr. Mertens as my advisor, who went to Stanford, and I applied to go to graduate school at Stanford, got in and concentrated on thermal sciences in mechanical engineering while I was there, and got my master's of science right after I went to Trinity College. And my Carnegie Mellon degree, I had the opportunity to go there to get my MBA while I was at Pratt & Whitney. So it was a great opportunity to take the same classes as the graduate students on campus, but more of a flex mode, just like we're talking here. So here's a window into my Stanford days, and that was September 95 to June 96. And the reason why I want to highlight that, again, I'm giving away my age, but just a couple interesting stories. So I went to school at the same time as Fred Savage, who graduated in 1999. So he was an undergraduate student when I was a graduate student and was seen on campus. I don't know if anybody remembers, but he was from the Wonder Years, one of my favorite shows. Again, for some of the audience that are younger, probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but you can Google it. It was a great show. And also the same year that Tiger Woods was there. And I remember being on campus and someone said, hey, there goes the greatest golfer who's, ever played the sport. And I'm like, who? Who's that? Well, right after that year, he left as a sophomore from Stanford and turned professional. So I'm really excited to watch the U.S. Open this weekend, starting tomorrow, and see how my fellow colleague does. But it was pretty neat seeing him on campus. So as Alex mentioned, I was fortunate to be able to take helicopter pilot lessons, and a lot of people asked me, did you get your fixed wing first? Because typically that's a really good way to get a lot of the navigation, pilotage, dead reckoning, communications, a lot of the similar things between the licenses. And I said, of course not. I mean, we build helicopters. So I went right for my helicopter pilot's license. And I did that for a couple of reasons. I mean, one is, when you ask yourself the question, and I had a great leadership training with Alchemy Group, and you ask yourself the question of, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And, the answer being, I'm going to try something that is out of your comfort zone. And let me tell you, one of my motivations for doing this was to really get to know our customers on a whole different level, to appreciate what the pilots appreciate while in the cockpit, and to understand our products as well. And having the opportunity to be able to fly the 76 and be able to talk about the differences, because I had the opportunity to fly an A model, a C+, a C++, and a D, and talk about the differences in the model when you want to talk to customers about upgrading their fleet. So that picture in the middle there is literally right after I was told that I passed, which was obviously I'm beaming from ear to ear, really excited about that. That was February 2017. On the left is me co-piloting in New York City, so being very aware of a lot of the traffic. There's a lot of traffic up the Hudson there, so being the eyes and ears for the pilot. And then on the right there was an opportunity that I'm going to talk about a little bit later about inspiring others and taking an aircraft to what's called Girls Exploring Tomorrow's Technology. And giving back and showing what you can do with science, technology, engineering, and math. So I'll cover that in a little bit. So here's my career, and there's a couple things I want to point out here that are relevant. I won't go through every assignment that I've had, but first of all, I've enjoyed absolutely every assignment that I've had. Across my career, actually started 24 years ago. I can't believe that to this point. I feel like I'm still in my 20s, but I started out at Pratt & Whitney, and while I was at Trinity College, Pratt was right up the road, and I really wanted to to intern there, and I really wanted to, get my foot in the door, and I applied. I didn't get an opportunity to go there until I actually went to graduate school at Stanford in California, and my TA for one of my courses actually had worked at Pratt & Whitney in Florida. And talk about an amazing connection and talking to your TA about what you want to do and getting into those conversations. It's really all about having that opportunity for a network. And he put me in contact with someone, and the rest is history there. So right after graduate school at Stanford, I started at Pratt & Whitney as an aerothermal engineer in 1996 and progressed through many different roles in engineering and eventually became an engineering manager actually on the F-135 engine when the down select was made for Lockheed Martin, and I worked on the exhaust nozzle, which was a great experience. And I made the transition. Actually, I made it to an equivalent to an L5 manager at the time, and I had a great experience working with the general manager there, and he asked about my experience and great roles in engineering, working on fuel nozzles and fuel nozzle guides, and then progressing to customer AOGs, right? So being engineering behind working on some of the tough problems that you have to solve quickly because the customer needed you to have an answer because the aircraft was on the ground. And then, having the opportunity to talk to the general manager and making a shift to operations and getting the experience of seeing your drawings actually on the floor in manufacturing organizations. So it was a great shift for me to be able to get the practical experience of seeing engineering drawings and how they're manufactured. And then having an incredible opportunity to run a business unit that was transitioned to Poland and being able to live in Poland to transition the business unit. So Completely out of my comfort zone again. Didn't know the language. Basically, if you've listened to my history so far, I didn't even take my first plane ride until I was 17 years old, going to Orlando for a band trip. So the only other, time that I had, pretty much gone across the country was to go to graduate school, and then came back to Connecticut. So imagine now an assignment overseas in a foreign country and working on a manufacturing floor. So incredible opportunity. Didn't even give it a second thought. But again, answering that question of what you would do, what you would do if you weren't afraid. So wanted to make sure that I highlight to you of all of the things that I have done after, the engineering manager, all the way up to, working in precision assembly operations. So going from, the business center manager to running the manufacturing engineering. Had never done that before, and great experience there. And then getting into the supply chain at corporate. All of those jobs were at the same exact level, and they were all lateral moves. And I'll tell you, getting that breadth of experience, getting the opportunity to try new things, and I always say adding tools to your toolbox, things that that will strengthen you in the future, and getting the different knowledge base, meeting new people, a bigger network. But all of these opportunities, someone said, hey, would you like to do this? Is this something that you'd be interested in? And I was always, up for an adventure. So, I always gave it a second thought. And in the back of my mind, you always have those doubts of, oh my gosh, can I even do this role? I've never done anything in supply chain before. I've never done anything in manufacturing engineering before, but it's those people around you that I'm a pretty humble person when it comes to asking questions. So not afraid to say I don't know something, and somebody is always there to want to help. So have had incredible opportunities just with that attitude, and of course have enjoyed every job up to that point. So from there, I joined Sikorsky, and have had so many great experiences, so many great friends that I've made, and mentors and colleagues, and people that I always call upon. But progressing from the precision assembly to the final assembly, to going up to Horseheads, New York, to be able to work on the Turkey Navy program that was up at SMCC. So again, a move to be able to work on something completely different. Then coming back and being the director of the Connecticut Assembly and Flight Operations, great experience. And then, as Alex mentioned, worked on the S-92 program with just an absolutely great team. And I learned so much. And again, going into programs, admitting I had never done anything like that. And of course, everybody being so very supportive. And then going to Coatesville, Pennsylvania, to be the general manager there. Such a great experience, and I have some pictures to show from some of the experiences that I've had in all of these areas. But now running the commercial systems and services, and I just want to take some time to show you what we're doing in that space, because I think it's really important to show where we are in the product, and we have some very exciting news to share. So I wanted to take that opportunity to take a commercial break to show what we got cooking. So here's the amazing team that I get to work with on a daily basis, and I have to say, I learn so much. I am inspired by these folks every single day, and like I said, amazing team doing amazing things, and absolutely 110% in customer mission first. I can't tell you enough how this team is really 100% focused on our customer. So here's just an intro slide. Again, Alex said S92, S76, but we also have a charter arm called AAG that does charter mainly in the New York City area. So that is part of our portfolio as well. So just a bit of a window into the portfolio. The portfolio also really is heavily focused on sustainment, analytics, and the overhaul and repair. So new aircraft build, new products that we're developing for these products, as well as completions. Over 800 aircraft that are in the fleet in 48 countries. And what is really remarkable is that those 1.6 million flight hours that Alex just mentioned, we have all of the health usage monitoring data that comes from each of those aircraft. And we use that data to do very many things, product upgrades. We look at the reliability of all of the components. We're actually using that data now in order to be able to look at the lives of each of the components so that we can extend those on the wing, which will lower the cost and lower our direct operating costs for our customers, which is really, really important for our fleet and sustainment. But also looking at, what are we doing in the future for that platform, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Our missions for the 76 and 92, again, offshore oil is, a big part of our business, but search and rescue, really important, to fulfill Igor's dream in terms of saving lives with the helicopter. And I can spend hours telling you amazing stories of search and rescue missions and how important that mission is, and keeping those aircraft flying 100%. Also executive transport and heads of state. So we have 7 heads of state on the 76 and 12 now heads of state on the 92. Actually, that's the Queen of England getting out of her aircraft there on the 76. And the one S92 head of state is a recent delivery that we're making right now to a new head of state. But also the presidential program is based on the S92 platform. So really reliable, great aircraft for that mission. So I wanted to take some time to say what we're doing on the S92 platform, because this is a strategy, absolutely remarkable aircraft, the safest in all of helicopters, and frankly taking that platform and upgrading the technology. So we just recently announced at HAI this year that we are going to provide a kit, which we're calling it the S92A+, but this kit allows you to upgrade the fleet that you currently already have. And it's really important to understand the strategy, because we don't want our customers to have to wait for new production aircraft, especially because you can imagine a lot of our customers right now can't afford to be able to upgrade their fleet with new aircraft. So this strategy allows all of the fleet aircraft that are currently flying to be upgraded with this new technology. Really a main focus being around a phase 4 gearbox that actually will eliminate 2 land immediately flight operations in case of an emergency. So imagine loss of primary lube oil in the gearbox itself, and being able to, no matter where you are, fly back. That is right now a land immediately situation for our customers who are flying over water every single day. Landing immediately means landing in the water, and this will eliminate that completely. Absolutely game changing. Absolutely, nothing like this in the industry. Absolutely incredible. So this allows our customers to be able to upgrade with a new gearbox, with these components, with increased lives, reduced pilot workload, some of the other things, and upgrading the requirements, and of course making it lighter so that you get more payload and range, and frankly updating it through the latest CFAR amendments, which is also very critical because the 92, when it was first introduced, was to the latest amendments. So upgrading all of those to the latest requirements will be game changing. But that gearbox being the center point of the kit is new technology that is really is unmatched. So what's great is we made the announcement at HAI, and immediately we had our first launch customer. So I don't know if you saw in the news, but here's just a snippet of the the press release that we had pretty soon after. So very excited to have a launch customer. We have several kits already sold. So the feedback has been incredible for the strategy. Before we go into the next slide, I wanted to share that with you because I am so very fortunate to be in such an incredible position. Absolutely love my job. I love being able to work with an incredible team, learn something absolutely new every day, incredible customers, incredible missions. And doing the self-reflection that I did to put this presentation together, I wanted to, take the time to say, what can I do? When I was younger, as I just went through the first part of this presentation, I didn't really know what you could do with enjoying math so much, or being so mechanically inclined, or liking to take things apart and know people who were like me. So I think it's really important, and I'm going to be taking some time to ask this audience too of have you had that opportunity? Do you share that same experience, and what can you do with that knowledge? So the next shift of the presentation is the passion that I have to give back, just based on the things that I've learned, and the people that I talk to, and the networking that I've had, but also the great opportunity that I have had. I feel so lucky to be where I am, and to be so fortunate on how I got here, that I wanted to share that with you. This is planting the seed of enthusiasm, and you can see, again, I'm always very excited to try and because I get so inspired by others to also try and share my story. So some of these photos are some of the things that I like to do to give back. And the first one being, landing a helicopter at Girls Exploring Tomorrow's Technology, and having 1,000 girls ages 5th grade to 10th grade be able to see 2 women pilots walking out of the cockpit, and being able to relate to that experience. Tell you a story about once that video was shared, a colleague of mine was explaining to me that he's a pilot, and he flies fixed wing, and he takes his son and daughter, and his son is really into it, and he asked his daughter one day, are you going to become a pilot? And she said, oh no, I can't, because I'm a girl. And he didn't understand that reaction, because very, very supportive of both of his children, but the experience of what his daughter had seen, again, his father flying, and many of the same pilots in his club are men, and when she went on vacation, seeing 2 pilots in the cockpit of a plane, and he showed her the video of 2 women getting out of the aircraft, and trying to change that paradigm shift, and being able to recognize that women can also be pilots, and women can do anything like that. But if you don't see that experience, you don't have that experience. And that's why it's really important to plant that seed of enthusiasm. So of course, some of these others, women in engineering 8th grade students, bring them into the factory to work on aerodynamics, you know, allowing people to get into the cockpit and showing them how to fly a plane. And of course, one of my favorites down at the bottom there, Engineering Week, of course, celebrating Engineering Week. And that's myself trying to hang on with all that I had. And Rebecca Grilly, who is the manager of structures, sitting there and having absolutely no trouble keeping herself up on the tape. So that is one of the things that I'm going to plead to you, again, making yourself vulnerable for the you know, the further of science. So one of the most fond memories that I have during Engineering Week. But yes, my tape definitely gave out before Rebecca's. She was laughing at me. And the other thing I want to say is get involved, right? So some of the amazing experiences of delivering aircraft to our customers and being able to share the stories that they have once they have their aircraft. You know, some of the opportunities to be able to meet veterans, getting very much involved with the veterans, and some of the community opportunities that we have. But you never know when you're going to meet someone and they're going to ask you, what do you do for a living, or what inspires you? Or you know, even in college, I had such an amazing opportunity to tutor. I was in Hartford, Connecticut, in inner city schools, and you never know the life that you can touch in order to be able to, you know, tell those people, anybody in your life, you know, what you do, and inspire others to want to do the same. And you know, who inspires me, right? And in the middle there is me and my mother. She turned 80 years old this year. Absolutely amazing woman. She still does her own plumbing all on her own. When she gets in trouble, yes, she uses YouTube. Doesn't ask us for help ever. So just again, talking about a role model that I've had all of my life that you know, never, it seemed to me, never had any fear. She just tackled one challenge after another, and again, never seemed to be afraid of anything. Bottom left there is my husband Joe, so very supportive, just incredible. My best friend who has always been there, encouraging me to get my pilot's license, and I was able to take him for a flight in Schweitzer, and just a great support system around me. Next to that is Sergei Sikorsky, that's myself, and Sergei looking at a picture of his father. And if anybody's ever had the opportunity to listen to him speak, listen to his stories, listen to the inspiration that he provides, and just what an amazing, accomplished man, and just the living legacy of his father, and so important that we're carrying that forward. But just the opportunities that I've had to share stories and get inspired. And of course, you know, Marilyn Houston, you know, had an opportunity to take her on an S-92 and show her the factory. And again, another very humble leader that is very inspirational, incredible person, and frankly, just all around great leader. So my question to you, and again, you know, my plea to the folks here that have listened to me today. I took a leadership class from the Alchemy Group, and it was, you know, who have you inspired today? You know, what have you done? What have you done to get involved? And again, looking at, you know, myself growing up and maybe having that opportunity to go to some of these STEM activities and seeing what you can do with math and science and some of the things that I really enjoyed. Like I said, I mean, it's I'm so lucky to be where I am, just following the things that I enjoy, the things that have inspired me, and the people who have inspired me to stretch myself and go further have really given me, you know, the background, the confidence, and the inspiration that I needed. The question is, you know, who have I inspired today, and who have you inspired today? And no matter where you are in your career, you have that opportunity to be able to inspire.
So much, Audrey. So we got a couple questions that were sent in ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So first question is, why and how important is it to take a stretch assignment in a career progression?
So I think I've demonstrated a little bit that I've definitely taken things that were way out of my comfort zone. But I think what's most important is, I think learning comes from really stretching yourself, and adding those tools to your toolbox. It is invaluable because you never know when you're going to call upon those. But I think honestly it answers the question of what would you do if you weren't afraid, and make sure that, you know, everybody is nervous about trying to do something new, but that's really how you learn the most, and you know, you get most fulfilled. So I think it's also a great opportunity to meet new people, to network, to get yourself outside of, again, your comfort zone. But you never know. It's always a very small world. Then when, you know, you can again get opportunities to try something new.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great advice. So on that same note, what advice can you offer to help one build self-confidence as part of their professional growth?
Absolutely. So a mentor of mine, I'm going to tell you a story, told me one time to create myself a me file. And that file is where you keep things that people have given to you, that have, you know, thanked you for mentoring them, or, you know, giving you kudos on a great presentation that you did, or, you know, those awards that you've gotten, and the write-ups on what you did in the past, and all of those positive reinforcements. You know, when you're having one of those challenges, those self-confident days that you know, you're not feeling at your best, you go into that me file, and it reassures you why you do what you do. It shows you your why, but it also shows you that, you know, you should have that self-confidence because of all of the things that you have accomplished. And I do have a me file, and I have to share this story with you. Recently, I was on a Zoom meeting with another external company, and it was another UTC company, and there was a gentleman that I haven't seen in years that I actually hired into Pratt & Whitney years ago. And I sent him a note saying, you know, incredible to see you, great to see you. It just is amazing. I always knew that you were going to do well and be a rock star. And he actually responded that he was going to put that note in his me file, and that was some advice that I had given him in the past. And it touched me because it really does make a difference. So to build your self-confidence also means to make sure that you're building your me file, because you always can have those days where you might not have that self-confidence. Going into that me file will remind you that you have it.
Thank you so much. And what can we do to help disadvantaged community members consider joining our rotorcraft profession, become future leaders?
Oh, this is so very important. And, you know, one of the things, example that I gave, you know, when I was in college, you know, helping math tutoring in inner city, but I want to make sure that I reiterate the whole theme of the message is, you know, what are you doing to give back? I mean, now, especially for disadvantaged communities that, especially if we're we're doing an education that is remote, if making sure that you can give access to kids to technology and volunteer and make sure that you're going out into those communities. If you can give money so that you all of these children have the same advantage as others. I hope that I've showed that, you know, no matter how small you think it is really important that that you get involved, because I think we all can demonstrate that you know, no matter what our background or what you know, what challenges, that we're here for each other, that we support each other, that we want to inspire each other, and the more all of us can do that, you know, the more we can reach to everybody in every community.
Wow, great insight. Thank you. We got a couple more here. If you could go back in time, this is a fun one. What would you advise a 21-year-old Audrey to do different to accelerate your career?
I will tell you first and foremost that I would definitely enjoy the journey. I think back then I was so focused on what's next, and I didn't take the time to really appreciate you know, the here and now. And I would say that it was a lot of pressure back then, and frankly, when there was a time that I pivoted my mindset in terms of you know, that progression, is when I was actually able to accelerate. So in my mind, when I had the opportunity to take a step back and say, you know what, if I do this one thing for the rest of my life and I never get any, you know, another promotion or another you know, assignment, I'm just going to enjoy what I'm doing now, show the results, show the passion, show you know, how much I love what I do, and not worry about that, is exactly the time in my career that it shot up, right? So I showed you you know, all of the steps that I took, you know, laterally to get experience, and I enjoyed every step along the way. But I think if I had just focused you know, at each step and enjoying it along the way back then in my, you know, 21-year-old self, I think I would have certainly forgave myself a lot more, and you know, put a lot of pressure, and just enjoy the journey a lot more. And that's what I try, and when I mentor folks, again, don't always look for that next level, that promotion. Think about the experiences that you're getting, enjoy the journey, and make sure you show results, and it will come. And when I finally realized that, if I had only known then what I know now, that's when my career definitely shot up.
Thank you. What an awesome presentation. We're going to take probably one or two more questions. We'll see what time we have.
Okay.
So going to, how do you handle maintaining a strong work-life balance? This is always a great question, given the constant pressures of an executive position.
So, you know, setting boundaries is really important. And I think most importantly is physical and mental health first. You have got to take care of yourself, and certainly the rest will come. And I'm going to share personally, when we first had, you know, the COVID shutdown and we were working remotely, I didn't do this well. I think, like many people, being online was very easy because you were in your home and you were able to access your computer at all times. People were making meetings at all hours of the day, and you know, 30-minute meetings here and there. And I think, you know, as a team, what we did was we got together, you know, asked what was working, what wasn't working. And I think in a lot of cases, you know, it was, you know, setting those boundaries and making sure that, you know, you don't have meetings, you know, before a certain time, after a certain time. And we also made sure that, you know, and by exception only, you know, no lunch meetings as well, so that we could take care of ourselves personally, take care of our families. There's a lot of situations people are trying to, you know, teach school, you know, and also maintain a professional balance. I'll tell you, the thing that really helps me is I told you my best friend Joe is very open and honest with me on how I'm doing on that front, and you know, he'll remind me oftentimes what's important. And I think it's that partnership that helps, but also it's setting those boundaries, and certainly that respect with all of the team has really very much helped. So plus I love what I do, so that helps as well.
Well, thank you so much, Audrey. It definitely shows. I can personally state that I've seen it in the workplace as well.
Thank
you know,
you.
I can't thank you enough for coming and presenting and giving a little insight into your career and what brought you to where you are today, and providing a little information to everyone on the line about kind of what they can do with their careers. Really appreciate the insight and the feedback, and also, you know, helping us think about, you know, how we can help influence others as well. So we're out of time, so we'll wrap up here. Just want to say thank you again from everyone in the VFS Stratford Chapter, and we hope to see you at a future dinner as an audience member. Thank you.
Thank you.